interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you the latest episode of Across the Board. Effects of listening to this podcast may include being educated on a random topic, shock, hysterical laughter, and an overwhelming feeling of wanting to subscribe to future episodes. This episode will start momentarily.
So what are we talking about today?
We're on episode 23, huh?
Yeah?
Yeah. So I was watching the protests in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me realize something.
What?
The only time kids get out of the house is to protest now.
I mean, I guess.
When was the last time you drove down a street and you saw kids playing in the street? Like bicycles, basketball, football.
I mean,
anything.
every now and then we'll pass by. There's a basketball court near where we live
It's
before the
very
freeway,
rare.
but it's like
It's very rare.
very far and few in between, you know? So,
It's just kind of sad. Also, I'm going to lightly touch on this. The subject of protests. I'm all for it. Protest your heart out.
mm-hmm.
But there's no reason to be destroying shit and stealing.
Yeah.
Like, there's a way to go about this
Mm-hmm.
thing, and the right way to do it is to not make yourself hated
Mm-hmm.
instead of have people, kind of come to your side.
Exactly.
I mean, Armenians did this a couple of years ago too, where they started blocking freeways.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm not gonna be sympathetic to the message that you're trying to get across if you're gonna cause me to be 3 hours late getting home.
I mean, I think the thing is to get our government to listen, but all while doing this, they're kind of frustrating the general public that's not protesting. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah, well, no, and I get you want your government to listen, but the way you make your government listen is by voting.
no, for sure. But I
You know what
think
I mean?
think them doing something like blocking a freeway, for example, gives a lot more attention to it because they're doing something that like causes some kind of
I
uproar
disagree.
or delay. You know?
Disagree. I think you can protest without breaking the law. I think it's very doable
No,
and it's possible.
I
and
agree. I'm just telling you like what I think is happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bad idea to have, though. I mean, it's like I understand you're saying that.
I don't get the looting
Well,
or stealing from
here's
stores.
here's a screwed up thing, is in every protest that happens. Well, at least recently, obviously there's a lot of people that are protesting for the right reasons, but then you have these assholes who just want to cause chaos and they see that as an opportunity.
Yeah, right.
So they go into these protests, have zero to do with what the protesters are about, and all they want to do is just go in there and
Take the opportunity to cause havoc in some way.
Exactly. Burn down
you know?
cars and fucking loot Adidas stores. And
Yeah.
it's like, but why? Like, you're
taking away from the point of the protest.
100%. You're ruining what that protest
Exactly.
is about.
They're ruining the purpose
Mm-hmm.
of what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Right. And in turn, because people are seeing these things, they're kind of disregarding the people who are in it for the right reasons and
Yeah, of
only
course.
looking at
Of course.
the stealing and the burning and the trash
Mm-hmm.
and all that stuff that is being done and left behind, which is not cool to the people who are actually trying to make a valid change, right?
Of course. No, and I mean, that's the thing. Like, look at the LA protest. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the National Guard would have never been deployed. Marines wouldn't be on their way down here, or I think they're already here. But
Mm-hmm.
it just, if the protest stayed just a protest
Mm-hmm.
and people weren't burning cars and fucking looting stores, then there would be no need for National Guard and all that stuff. But then also at the same time, like, I heard something that was kind of disturbing today. I don't know how much of I don't know how involved our governments are in terms of what's actually happening on the ground. Like, I think, and I could be completely wrong on this, but it was a video clip I saw where it was somebody's reaction in the government to a report from I think it was the sheriff in LA. And they seemed surprised by news that the news reporter told them, saying, hey, the sheriff is reporting this. Well, I don't think that's normal. Like, I mean, I think everybody should be kept in the loop, right? So I don't know how involved they are. I don't know if they're just
I don't know.
take care of this. We're gonna, we'll follow up with you tomorrow kind of thing. Or if they're minute by minute, like in a
Right.
situation room kind of thing where they're constantly being updated. Either way, it's a screwed up situation, but we're not going to talk about that too much. We have to touch on it.
Yeah.
I also have to touch on the fact that at some point a very loud helicopter might go by because there's a fire like a mile down the road.
Right.
It seems like they might have gotten mostly under control because the frequency of the helicopters is a lot less now.
Yeah, but there's a lot of smoke and people who are getting evacuated and we're nearby. So,
But I mean, like an hour ago, those helicopters are like every 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it was like 2, 3 at a time too. So
let's hope for the best for sure.
yeah, I think it's mostly under control, but who knows? I mean, luckily it's not too windy today or anything.
Yeah.
So we should be all right. Anyway, some good coffee.
Enjoying your coffee
Very much so.
that I made for you.
Thank you. Yeah, so kids don't get out today. They stay at home. They're locked into
Technology.
their glass prison of an iPad or
But I
cell
don't
phone
even
or
think
whatever.
they're aware of that. I don't think they
don't know any better.
Yeah.
They don't. And obviously it's different in different places. I'm sure like if you go somewhere that's a lot more rural, their parents probably take them out of the house to do things, whether it's chores or hunting or whatever, like something.
I think this is just more in relation to what we've
Big cities,
seen
yeah.
in bigger cities. Yeah, exactly.
I gotta wonder though, like there have been times where I've thought about this and I'm like, I kind of miss the days of no cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
I miss the days of even no pagers, and it was just you and the moment.
Did you ever have a pager?
Of course I did.
I never had a pager.
I had a pager, and I think it was the 8th grade.
I wanted one so badly, but
I had the
didn't get one.
see-through blue shell.
Oh, it's so good.
And it was like, well, and that was the thing is like they had pager stores in the mall where you could buy the different shells and the different buttons. So like I had the see-through blue shell with the white glow in the dark buttons.
So you get a phone, like a beep, right, with the phone number that you're supposed to call, and you just find a payphone.
Yeah,
call
or
with.
you use somebody's phone. Yeah.
Like a house phone or something, right?
Yeah, of course.
I'm like, wait.
No, like yeah, of course, like the
Yeah.
business that you're at, the house that you're at, whatever. But honestly, like how much more in the moment were people?
Oh, for sure.
Like think about like when you go anywhere now, like you go to a friend's house and you look around the room and like half the people are on their phones and half the people
More
are
than
not
half.
even engaged.
Yeah.
But
Or if you go, for example, if you go on vacation or if you go anywhere, concert, whatever it is, people used to just like listen to the music and vibe
Yeah.
and dance and enjoy themselves. And a lot of people now, all you see is like a sea of phones,
yeah,
just holding
Yeah.
up the phones, recording the concert, recording content. It kind of, I've done it myself. I'm guilty of it. And then I realized that I'm there, but I'm living through it with my phone.
yeah,
Right. I'm so, I guess, desperate to hold on to that memory.
that you're not enjoying the memory.
That I'm not exactly right. I'm going to enjoy it through the phone and not personally a lot of the times.
That's why I leave my phone in my
I know,
pocket.
you
People
do.
are taking pictures and I'm just like, nope, I'm going to enjoy this for what it is because
Yeah.
the memory of it, to me at least, the memory is more important than getting a photo of it. You
Yeah.
know?
But then sometimes you forget everything, so you have those photos as backup to remember the good times, right?
Well, the
So
good
it's kind of
thing-
like a double-edged sword.
Yeah, but the good
But-
thing is I'm never alone, so somebody's taking a
Me?
photo somewhere. Well, even if it's not you, it's somebody else. A
I
friend,
know,
a
I
cousin,
know.
a parent, whatever.
But I do realize that, and it kind of makes me sad because I'm like, wait, I don't remember actually being like I remember being there, but not
This is my point.
really
This
being
is my
there.
point. That's what I'm trying to say. We need to kind of
It's kind of exhausting, though. Honestly,
what is
just being that available to technology.
that's what
That-
I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Everything is kind of hinged on that. It's you're so involved on your phone all the time. It's just exhausting, whether it be work, family, friendships, texting, emailing, calling,
Yeah.
directions, social media. Like it's like constant.
Yeah.
It's a constant thing, and sometimes you don't realize that at the end of the day, it is affecting your health too.
Well, and it's aside from health, it's like you're saying, it's like you're always available
Yeah.
and you don't have the option to not be.
And a lot of people have a sedentary lifestyle because of it.
Well, I mean, that's because you don't need to leave the house to do anything.
Exactly.
You could Postmates on your phone. You can
Instacart for
stream a movie,
groceries,
you can,
and you can
you don't need
purchase
to leave the house.
Amazon. You can literally purchase whatever you want on Amazon. You never have to leave the house for
Well,
anything.
COVID was a perfect example
Yeah.
of that. People didn't leave the house for anything. They just had everything delivered.
And they got used to it. I mean, for example, like I'm guilty of it. I have Instacart and I use it for big orders because I don't have the time to go and come back, and bring up all that stuff up the stairs and all this stuff. So it's like a lot easier for me to just Instacart it.
So you're just lazy.
Kind of.
Call it for what it is. But
Well, when you're bringing up 10 bags of groceries by
no,
yourself.
I get that. But at the same time, it's definitely slowing people down. Like people have gotten, I mean, just in general, as humans, we have become weaker and weaker.
Even critically, honestly. Critically, even.
Well, yeah, no, and you look at, for example, go back maybe not 50 years, maybe like 70 years, right? Men were men. They had muscles. They had testosterone. They, were jumping at the chance to go fight in a war. Now you can't even get. I mean, listen, during World War II, there were 15-year-old kids that were faking documents to go fight in war because they're like, I want to go fight. You can't get a 15-year-old kid to take out the trash now. I mean, it's
but I think that's circumstantial. I mean, who wants to do that?
Listen,
honestly?
I'm not saying that you want to go to war, but I'm just saying there's a different level of.
The times have changed.
It's not just that. It's people are more. People were more active. People were more physical. People were more just in touch with themselves.
I think that also depends on where you live, because where we live, a lot of things are about looks and the way you look, and people exercise, people are out walking and going to the gym.
Clearly, we don't care.
And clearly, and you have that aspect of it, but in other places it might not be the same thing. I don't know. I've only lived here my entire life, but I guess, yeah, like I said, it's more of your environment and what.
Well, that's part of it, but it's like I'm saying.
As a general whole, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yes, but part of it's technology, part of it's just I don't know. It's just conveniences, but people were more active.
Yeah.
People were, you go back to the 20s, they barely started putting in elevators, so people were going up the stairs 8 floors. Fucking, they didn't care. Obviously, buildings were not that big back then. They weren't 50-story skyscrapers, but.
There's still a lot of buildings in New York that don't have elevators.
Yeah.
And they're like 4 or 5 flights of stairs.
Yeah.
But
not everybody would rent on the 5th floor because not everybody is willing to do the stairs all day.
Yeah.
But back in the day, that was just normal. That was just like, well, yeah.
But also,
stairs?
like, I get where the convenience factor of it comes, like I have a friend that used to live in New York, and he was up 4 flights of stairs and no elevator, and I would just like, obviously I'm a big girl, I would get winded, but he's also very fit, and sometimes he would get winded, and I get it. Like they were long flights of stairs, okay, but I'm imagining bringing groceries, bringing other items that you're paying for up this, like luggage, like
yeah, of course,
it's a lot of work, so I don't blame people for using those conveniences.
No, I'm not saying that I blame people for that, but like I feel like conveniences should be used as conveniences, not as crutches. I feel like we should still be in good enough shape to be able to go up 4 flights of stairs, even if we don't necessarily have to.
No, for
you know
sure.
what I mean?
For sure. Of course.
And there's just, and a lot of it's the food and the junk that they put in it, and the chemicals and the modifications and the enrichment and the this and that, like all that stuff obviously plays a role. But like I'm saying, I think there's a difference between a convenience and a crutch.
Do you think that it's been formulated this way for us?
To just make people progressively lazier and more tired.
Yeah.
No, I think there's just a side effect of, unfortunately, population growth and capitalism. I think that's what
also
it is.
true.
Well, because look at it this way. It's if you chemically treat whatever your crops are, you can store them for longer. You can sell them for a longer period of time. You don't have to throw it out.
Yeah.
Whereas, you go back 100 years, it was only good for so long before some kind of pest got in there. 'Cause
Right.
You didn't have pesticides. So you got some kind of like rats or bugs or something. And you have to throw the whole lot of it out. Obviously, that's going to hurt your bottom line.
Right.
So here comes the corporate greed. Hey, look, you could spray this chemical on there and the rats won't touch it. Well, yeah, there's probably a reason they don't touch it is because it's fucking poison. I mean,
Yes, exactly.
But then they feed it to us, and they've determined somehow that there's acceptable levels of chemicals
Yep.
for us to consume. I don't buy that. I genuinely don't. Like, even for this somehow came up earlier today, but RF radiation, radio frequency radiation, talking about like cell phones and stuff like that, Wi-Fi routers, all that stuff. They've determined that there's an acceptable exposure to RF radiation. Great. Fine. You've determined that. I don't know how exactly you did it. Did you really do a double-blind study? Like, because, I mean, okay, for example, you're going to say that you could be exposed to X, whatever the unit of measure is, of RF radiation from cell phones and Wi-Fi antennas and all this kind of crap, right? You, as a government entity, has determined that. But when you're comparing a group of people that's exposed to that level of radiation, what are you comparing it to?
Yeah.
Because there's hardly anybody in this country today that's not exposed to that radiation.
That doesn't use those items. Yeah.
There's some remote parts of, the mountains in Alaska and out in the middle of, but even when you're in the middle of nowhere.
Maybe kids. I mean, no, that's not even true.
But kids, you don't even have a long enough, like, you need a lifelong study. You need a 50-year study to do this. I'd be curious if they've even done, like, how long the longest study is. Because how are you going to accurately
what are you comparing
determine?
it to?
Yeah, exactly. How are you going to accurately determine whether or not that's it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably not a fucking surprise that the rates of cancer are through the fucking roof. It probably has something to do with radiation, whether it's leftover radiation from all the freaking nuclear tests that they did, or it's the constant bombardment of RF radiation and microwave radiation for communications.
Right.
I mean, you literally cannot walk into a building without being surrounded by this stuff. Like, if you're living in a city, cell phones, Wi-Fi antennas, everything is connected to Wi-Fi now. Your cars are freaking connected through 3G cell antennas.
Yes, everything.
The entire city is covered in 3G, 4G, or 5G, depending on what service provider. Your entire city is being covered, like, bombarded with this radio frequency radiation. And then, never mind, you walk into a building on top of the cellular radiation. Now you have Wi-Fi radiation as well.
Yeah.
Granted, that's a much lower level, but still, this can't be good for you. I mean, I refuse to believe that it's perfectly harmless.
Right. There's
no freaking way. There's no way.
I don't believe that.
So, what's the price that we're paying for the convenience? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, great.
Our health.
Yeah. I could pull up a video of J-Lo doing whatever she did last week on my phone instantly, but at what cost? Is it worth me freaking dying a slow and painful death of cancer? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't.
And some asshole is going to go out there and comment and say, oh, well, maybe you should just move out to the middle of nowhere. No, it doesn't work that way. I think that instead of trying to move out into the middle of nowhere, I think we should be looking at safer, more controlled ways to communicate that don't involve bombarding radiation throughout the city.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Oh, of course
honestly.
not. The thing is I feel like there's probably some kind of a huge technological leap that will actually result in us being able to use much less power to power these antennas. And, like, I mean, basically to the point where it's like basically nothing, but we're still able to pick up that signal. I just don't think that leap is going to come in our lifetimes.
You know what I just thought of? I love the fact that they try to hide the cell towers as, like, trees. Like,
well, it's worked on me like once or twice if I just glance at it. But then, like, when I do a double take, I'm like, wait a minute, something's weird about that tree. Oh, that's not a squirrel.
But it's like, it's bad for you, and they're trying to hide the fact that it's a cell tower.
You know what it is? It's just because they're ugly.
Yeah.
They're fucking ugly. I mean, honestly.
I mean, you don't think there's a better way to do that? I would think they like could have figured out a better way to do that by now.
I don't think so. I mean, they need these antennas everywhere.
Yeah.
And those antennas they get a little crispy. Like, you can't get near them while they're on. No,
crispy.
seriously, you can't get in front of an antenna while it's on. You get.
I'm sure.
But that's the thing is, I get it. The radiation dissipates as those waves go out, but by how much? I
Yeah.
mean, if it's unsafe to stand in front of it, are you safe at 10 feet, 20 feet, 100 feet, 200 feet?
Yeah.
If you live across, like, let's say, across an alley from a building that has antennas on it, does that mean that you're constantly getting bombarded by too much radiation? I don't know.
You would think there'd be some like procedure or something put in place where
There probably
it
is.
tells you what the safe limit is.
There is.
I would think so,
There-
but
so that, yeah, they can measure what is considered the safe limit.
what about like electrical towers? Same thing.
I don't know on those.
Because
'Cause I don't-
we've passed by a lot of
Yeah.
houses that are like right next to it. You know.
Well, at one point, I don't know how true it was, but at one point they were saying that like people were getting cancer that lived under the power lines.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. Because, I mean, you drive under a power line, like a high voltage line, and your radio stops working. So there's something in the air, definitely. I don't know what it's doing. I don't know enough about this kind of stuff to actually
Right.
know. But, my simple brain would think that if it's strong enough electrical interference to interfere with the radio waves, then it's probably doing something to the air and atmosphere around it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's always fun to think about. That we're all dying a slow and painful death due to radiation. But no, honestly too though, like look at when you look at like different countries and people that live like way out in the wilderness or like little mountain communities and stuff, those dudes live to be like 115 and they're fine. Like, even at 115, they're like, oh, yeah, I walk a mile a day to go get water. I'm like, dude, a mile a day for most people that live in a city like LA, forget it. Most people want
And the funny thing is, a lot of people will think differently of that. But no, there's like, what is the average? Like 3,000 steps a day for the average American?
Well, you're supposed to try to get 10,000.
Yeah.
I don't know what the actual average is.
But I've heard the average is like 3,000 steps a
that
day.
That sounds
So-
probably more likely.
And, a lot of people work in offices, so they're
Yeah.
at their computer all day or
Yeah, in a car,
in a car.
to
Exactly.
an elevator, to a computer, to an elevator, to the
Yep.
car. They get home, they're tired, now they want to sit on the couch. So how
And
many
that's-
steps do you take?
And that's a lot of people.
That's probably
Most
the
people.
majority of
We live in a state where that's not super common, but I would think that as a general consensus, that's probably the case.
Yeah, I mean, people have started to become a little bit more active, and I think it's like they're realizing how much their office jobs are hurting them.
Yep.
People that have like treadmill desks, have you seen
Yeah.
these?
Yeah.
Where it's like it's literally a
Or
desk with a treadmill.
the standing desks, we have those at work, like
Yeah,
all over the place.
at least you're
you know?
not sitting on your ass.
which
At
is
least
very
you get,
useful. Yeah.
you're standing, and it's
Yeah.
it's a little bit easier to, hey, I'm gonna go walk over here. I'm
Exactly.
gonna walk back. At least you're a little bit more. You're ready to be active. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Have you seen the little pedal things?
Yeah.
So like you just put it under your desk and you
Yep.
just pedal away. Okay, great. At least there's some activity happening.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that just sit there and just fucking all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't honestly like thank God for the type of job that I have, because when I need to be in the office all day, which is not often, but it's happened a few times, sitting at a desk all day drives me fucking nuts. By the time it gets to like, I want to say like around 1 o'clock, I'm antsy at that
Mm-hmm.
point. I'm up and I'm walking around the office because I just can't sit there anymore.
Yeah.
I don't understand how people
It's
do
a lot.
8, 9, 10 hours a day in front of a computer.
It's a lot.
I'd go nuts. I'd go nuts.
I'm used to, yeah.
I do an hour and a half, 2 hours a day in front of the computer, and then I'm out and about.
All day,
which is
every
great.
day.
Yeah,
All
I
day,
couldn't
every
do it.
day. It
Couldn't do
hurts your eyes, like staring
It would
into
hurt my ass. to be honest.
monitors. Yeah. It hurts your back, hurts your ass,
Yeah.
hurts your eyes, hurts your neck.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a whole combination of really good stuff,
Yeah, I'm sure.
but
Well, and I gotta wonder. I wonder what the stats are on that. Like when you look at what people were doing when they were working from home versus when they were in the office. I wonder if people were actually taking that as an opportunity to be like, oh, I'm gonna go out for a walk, or I'm gonna go walk my dog, or were they doing the same thing that they were doing while they were in the office, just at home?
no, just speaking from experience and people who I've worked with that have been remote,
Mhm.
you have a lot more opportunity to get up and do stuff.
Yeah.
Whether it be,
Well, because you don't have anybody watching over you going,
yeah,
hey, what are you getting up for?
whether it be, wash some dishes, take a break, wash some dishes, go upstairs, do the laundry or go take a walk. You have that time to be able to kind of craft your own schedule as long as you're getting your work done. But the con on that is you feel like you're constantly working. Like you
Well,
don't
yeah.
have a cutoff.
You don't have a separation.
There is no 9
Yeah.
to 5, like you start
Mm-hmm.
when you start and then you can work until 6, 7, 8, sometimes later,
Well,
which I found myself doing a lot,
but that's the problem is because you're not saying, okay, well now I'm going home because you're already home.
when you're at the office and you're doing that.
That's your cutoff. I'm
That's
going
your
home.
exactly. You work 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, whatever it is. You leave your stuff there, you go home, and that is it for the day. You don't think about it.
Yeah.
But then again, you're sitting there all day.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the opportunity to go walk around, because you
unless
have
you
to
work somewhere like Google.
I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure there are.
Have you heard about their shit? It is fucking crazy. They have like cafeterias with like gourmet food.
That's awesome.
They have
That's
like
how all
massage
corporations
centers.
should be.
No, literally, they have like massage centers where you can go and get a massage in the middle of the day. You can go and take a nap. They have like little like Zen rooms where you can just go and sit.
We have those at work. We have those at work.
Okay, I mean, listen, I'm not of that generation, but I think I would take advantage.
I don't think I can relax my mind that much
No.
in the office to be able to like go to
But
our
also-
like Zen room. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay, this goes right along with what we were saying though. It's like 50 years ago, nobody needed a fucking Zen room. They
Yeah.
just powered through it. You know, I mean, like they
yeah,
were
but it's
stressed
nice
out.
to have. It's nice to have. It's not a bad thing.
I understand, but it's
But also, I feel like they didn't have the same things that we're dealing with now. It's not the same.
I don't agree
I
with that.
think it's a lot. Yes, I think we deal with a lot more stressors today than we did back then.
All right. I don't fully agree with that. I think that we've gotten soft because no, honestly. I think what it is at every opportunity, every time that things got a little tough, somebody came in and said, "Oh, you know what would make it better if we did this and this for our employees, or if we did this and this for whoever, the people." That just created softer and softer people. If you think about it, like if you didn't have a choice, right? If it was like, hey, you're going to be on your feet for 12 hours a day. This is your job. And you just had to do it. You would just do it day in, day out. Okay, I'm on my feet for 12 hours because I work in a factory or whatever. But then somebody came in and said, hey, you know what? When you get tired, you can go and sit down for 20 minutes at a time. Well, you're going to start sitting down 20 minutes at a time. And then all of a sudden, you can't do 12 hours on your feet anymore because you need those 20-minute breaks.
But
It just makes softer
but
people.
what is it to say that you shouldn't be on your feet 12 hours a day anyway? Like,
I understand. I'm just saying that.
I don't think that makes people soft. I think that times change and people are trying to have a healthier life.
I get that. I understand
know?
that. I'm just saying that when things get easier, people get softer. This is a generalization. I'm not saying necessarily for work. For example, cavemen fucking fought woolly mammoths and saber-toothed tigers with nothing but sticks.
Now we can fight with guns.
Well, no, but
Okay, like,
no. My point is,
If need like
but even with guns, half the people aren't going to be able to take on a fucking tiger.
who's gonna take on a tiger though? Like what
I'm
is
just saying, if that was a necessity, if it was still necessary for us to kill our food, right? Mm-hmm.
But why are you looking at it that way? That was such a long time ago. Like, why would you need to do that now?
I'm not saying you do need to. I'm
that's
just saying
such a
that
weird thing to like
as that went
compare
away,
it to.
as that went away, as the need to hunt went away.
Thank God.
But as the need to hunt went away, people got softer and softer, and now they don't even know how to
I don't
hunt.
think that makes us soft. I think that just keeps us up with the times. I don't think that has anything to do with softness. If you have to do something, you're gonna do it. If you're put in a situation where you have to fight,
Nope. Disagree. Wholeheartedly disagree.
I
If you, survival situation. Tomorrow, fucking everything went dark. We
Okay.
had no power, no energy, no refrigeration, no supermarkets, nothing. And you had to hunt your food.
okay.
When's the next time you're eating?
Whenever I go and hunt my food.
How you're going to be able to kill something?
Yes. If I need to, yes.
You're going to be able to track it, kill it,
That's what you're here for.
skin it, gut it, and then cook it. You're not.
That's what you're here for.
No, but this is my point, is these things get forgotten because they're no longer necessary. I'm not saying that it's a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying that this is the evolution that as things become
But you're making
easier,
it seem like it's a bad thing.
yes and no. For some situations it is, some situations it's not. Like in certain situations, maybe it is good for us to be able to hunt our own food, or maybe it is good for us to be able to fucking carry 100 pounds and go up the stairs.
You can carry me up the stairs whenever you want if that's going to make you happy.
This is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying we should have the ability to do those things, but because there's no necessity, that's been forgotten on us. Look at, for example, how many people even memorize phone numbers these days?
Not many.
Nobody, because you don't have to, because your phone stores it for you.
Right.
So that's my point, is our brains are getting weaker, our bodies are getting weaker because of these conveniences.
But then
what?
how do you... You're saying our brains get weaker, but then there's been so many technological advancements in the last, 10, 20 years.
Because we've had help.
But that doesn't mean that our brains have gotten softer.
The majority of people.
You know, like
I'm not saying every single person. I'm not saying as a whole species. The majority of people, they're just going through life, are not exercising their brains. They're not exercising their body. I'm definitely not. And so what's happening is they're getting weaker mentally, physically, emotionally. Look at all the people fucking that need safe spaces now because they heard an aggressive sound. It's like, bro, come on, pull it fucking together.
No comment.
No, but you know what I'm saying though? It's like it's people have gotten soft, and it's not for any like specific reason, but just generally, what's happened is people it's become easier to be soft. And it's become easier to be weak.
I don't know if that's the right terminology you want to be using.
Look, I'm not saying weak or soft. I'm not referring to any specific
No, I know. I think
groups of people or anything. I'm just saying that in general, we as human
think we're
beings,
less capable of certain things.
Yes, but only because these conveniences have made it easier to be.
But these conveniences are great.
For now, until one day something happens and those conveniences are gone and nobody knows how to survive.
Then I guess
For
that's
example,
just what's meant to be. I don't know what to say.
Let's take this as an example.
Mm-hmm.
If, let's say, there was some kind of a big cataclysmic event.
Right.
Huge solar flare, asteroid fell out of the sky, some bullshit. Okay? Let's say something happened. And the majority of the population died off.
Right.
A bunch of shit got destroyed. Whatever. Let's say 300 million people survived it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? 300 million people hid in caves and lived off whatever they did. A year or two later, they emerged and they said, okay, we're ready to start rebuilding. Shit's back to normal. How many of the machines are they going to be able to rebuild? I'm being genuinely serious here. Well, first of all, half the people that would survive initially would die of starvation because they wouldn't know how to cook, hunt, grow plants for food, nothing. Like they wouldn't know. They'd rely on somebody else or they would just die off. But let's say they got through all that. For example, you know how fucking complicated it is to make a microprocessor, to make a computer? That technology will be lost forever, I feel, if there was some kind of a cataclysmic event. You know, so it's funny. There's actually Intel, who biggest chip manufacturer in the world. When they build a new fabrication facility, they mimic every single thing down to the color of the paint of their existing fabrication facility, because they're afraid that if they change one thing, that the whole plant will just not work. I read this. I don't know if it's true, but so this is the thing: is it's such a specific and like ridiculously delicate process that it's not something that somebody's just going to be like, oh yeah, we can figure this out. There's no figuring it out unless you have the fucking recipe and the machines and all the other stuff. You're not doing it.
Yeah.
Like those machines, the machines that they use to make microprocessors are like, some of them are hundreds of millions of dollars each. And there's rooms full of these things. So that's not happening anymore. Meteor comes crashing down, forget computers. until somebody rediscovers that whole process all over again. Even if they know, well, there's something about silicon and there's transistors. You know how long it's going to take before they figure out that process all over again, starting from scratch? And then, so I got to wonder, how do we know that hasn't happened before?
What do you mean?
How do we know it hasn't happened before? How do we know that humans didn't reach the level of technology that we are at now 100,000 years ago? 300,000 years ago? I don't know. When was the last ice age?
I think because we'd have
Not from 100,000 years. There would be nothing left.
nothing.
There'd be nothing left.
That I don't know.
I mean, how do we know that the ancient Egyptians didn't have something or another that was, maybe not high technology, but some form of technology? How do we know that they didn't lose that? I mean, it's 3,500 years. A lot of shit would fall apart by then. The only real thing that's still standing there is stone.
Yeah. But you don't think they would have had something buried or
present? The thing is, they're still discovering shit over there. Like there were entire I think
cities
there's an entire
right?
village that's buried in the sand. Well, who knows what else is buried under there? I mean, it's a huge area. Yeah. They can't excavate every little bit of it. I don't know. My whole point is I think that technology is a double-edged sword. It's helping to a certain degree, but I think that at the same time, it's also...
I agree with that.
It's not holding us back, but pulling us back.
In some ways, yeah. I agree with that.
Go to a store, kids can't do simple math anymore. If you go and buy something and it's $15.63 and you give the kid $21, they're lost.
Yeah.
They're lost. What? So
can't change.
Well, and this is my point is we're not necessarily doing ourselves a favor by just relying on technology. Like, yeah, it's great to use it for help.
Right.
You have complicated equations to do, pull out the calculator. But if it's simple math, fucking do it in your head.
Yeah.
I truly believe it's like a muscle. If you don't use it, if you don't use your mind, you're going to lose that ability.
I've heard that many times. Yeah, absolutely. Your brain is a muscle. You're supposed to, like a muscle, you're supposed to think, and
memorize shit. And
exactly. Practice things and memorize things. And,
well, look at...
You can also be a lot of people who are creative in some ways, who play an instrument or who sing or...
Keeps your brain active.
Work on projects. It just... Exactly. Keeps your brain active and working.
Well, so think about this. Like, look at phone numbers that you knew as a child. You still remember those phone numbers.
I do.
They're ingrained.
I do.
Try to memorize a phone number today. It's going to be a lot harder.
Yeah, but also I think we have a lot more things on our mind to be...
Yes and no. Yes and no.
We were kids. We didn't have that much to do. Like,
our parents, when they were our age... We're still memorizing phone numbers.
Our parents, when they were our age, also didn't deal with the same stresses that we're dealing with now. They didn't.
They dealt with different stresses.
They did, but it wasn't like this.
Well, maybe half of those stresses are from technology. Social media, for example.
Who knows? Maybe.
Seriously.
But I can confidently say that for sure.
Well, I'm just saying, half of the shit that look at, for example, we talked about this before, like where you have people that don't know any better would be happy with the lives that they have. But then when they see what lives other people are living through social media are like, well, my life is shit. That guy's fucking on a...
Comparison is the thief of joy. Yacht. Yeah.
Yeah.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
Maybe that's where half the stress is coming from. I got to make more money so I could buy a yacht like that guy.
Because people have certain expectations, right?
It's not even expectations. It's just that comparison.
They compare their lives to other people and they want the same things.
Yeah.
But, sometimes it just doesn't work that way and it's okay.
I get that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that don't. There's a lot of people
It's always good to have those goals and aspirations to do better and more, but at what cost, right? Like,
but that's the thing is some people don't look at it as an aspiration. They look at it as
woe is me.
Yeah.
Pity me.
Yeah. I don't have this. I don't have that.
My life is awful because I don't have this. Why can't my life be this way? Blah, blah, blah. Whatever. But to be honest with you, I think everyone thinks that sometimes at one point or another.
Well, yeah,
we're only human. Exactly. But yeah, if you let it consume you, that's just, you have no quality of life.
Well, look around you. Kids are doing not kids, but let's say teenagers, early 20s, they're doing all kinds of crazy shit to their body because they want to look like some model or influencer or celebrity.
That's a whole different conversation, but
Yeah, but like, I mean, if it wasn't for that comparison because of social media and because that's constantly bombarded in your face, maybe those people would just live a healthy life and just enjoy what they have and be a good person instead of just chasing this fucking whatever bullshit celebrity.
well, I mean, because they think that that'll
Look.
make them happy, and if it does, great, you know. But
Yeah, but they're being brainwashed to think that that's going to make them
Yeah.
happy.
a
I
lot
mean,
of
you think that
social
lady
media
that
is
got
doing
all the surgery that turned herself into a cat, you think she was happy when she finally turned to look like a cat?
I don't know.
Probably
Maybe.
not.
I
No.
mean,
I don't
that's
know.
what she wanted.
I can't imagine that she. I see. That's the other thing too. Is like when you get to that point, when you're so obsessed with looking away that you're willing to get crazy plastic surgery and go completely balls out. I feel like there at no point will you ever be satisfied.
I just for stuff like that, I'm like, to each their own.
I get that.
You know,
no,
I
no.
don't-
I'm just conversation.
Yeah, there are things that are necessary, things that aren't. People are gonna do whatever they want to make
I'm just
themselves
saying-
happy, and if that's what. But yeah, I think there might be an underlying cause there a little bit, and sometimes what you think is going to make you happy doesn't turn out that way.
That's what I'm saying.
know?
Is because it's almost like this body dysmorphia where you're looking in the mirror and you look like whatever it is that you're going for, but to you, you're like, oh no, well, I could have done this differently. I could
Yeah.
do a little bit more of this. I could add a little bit here. I could take away a little bit there.
I
and
think
it's
we've
never
all,
good enough.
We've
But it's
all
never
thought
good
that
enough.
though. We've all thought. I'm guilty of it. Like
I
we're only human.
I get that, but I'm just saying it's
We
that's-
want to fit in that picture perfect standard, right?
but
But
you
not everyone should
only-
look the same. Everyone looks different.
But not just that, you only see that because you're being bombarded by that idea
exactly.
of picture perfect.
It's that certain standard that you
Yeah.
need to live up to.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
like who even said that? You know,
A
like
bunch of people on the internet
Yeah.
were taking the same picture with ridiculous looking lips.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
this is a whole different conversation
It's a
that
whole
we'll probably need
different
to touch on in a
conversation.
different episode. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
Anyway,
I just think the takeaway from this is careful with technology. Use it as a tool, not as a crutch. Don't let it fucking become your everything.
yeah, and live your life as
And
much
honestly,
as you can.
live
Look,
in the moment. Enjoy what you have.
I should take my own advice, you know, because again, we're both on social media a lot. We're both, you know, we're on a podcast. We work a lot on computers, so
Yeah.
it's important to also take that time and step away from that to actually enjoy your life in the moment. Because look, we're at that age right now. It's like
I don't know what
can't
age
believe
you're at, but
I'm much younger than you, but people apparently think I'm really old. It's all good. 10 years ago, I remember 10 years ago clearly, and it went by like that, like nothing,
of course.
you know? And
And the next 10 will go by even quicker.
stop. But
But no, I agree with you 100%. We need to at certain times. Listen, it's fine to be on your phone because you're
Yeah.
whatever.
you have to be, though. That's
But
like,
at certain times, just put down the phone,
Mm-hmm.
step away from that shit, enjoy the sunset, look at it, you know, watch the fucking waves on the ocean. I just enjoy your actual surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
Literally touch grass. Go outside and touch fucking grass. Remember that you are a human being
right.
living on this fucking rock that somehow harbored life, and all this shit that's around us is this crazy fucking miracle that we're here.
Yeah.
And so just enjoy that from time to time instead
Yeah.
of being so obsessed with
And
social media.
glue it
and-
on your phone or technology, whatever it is that you use.
yeah.
I
Like
agree.
we all need to actually appreciate that. Like
Yeah.
it is really impressive the fact that we're even here right now.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us just take it for granted and we're like, oh well, no, I'd rather just watch
Yeah.
you know, somebody fart in a balloon or something. Oh, fuck, I don't know.
Anyway,
Anyhow,
thank you for joining us today.
thanks for
We hope you
listening to
took
our rants.
something away from that.
What they took away is that I shouldn't have coffee during a podcast because I really go off.
Please like, share, follow, and we appreciate all of you.
Yep. Thanks for watching and catch you on episode
24.
This was 23.
Yeah.
Cool.
Till next time.
Catch you on 24. All right. Bye.